Hello, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be talking about natural hair discrimination, or my experience with natural hair discrimination as I get ready for work. If you're interested in that, definitely stick around to the very end because we're going to be talking about something a little bit different than what everybody else talks about. And if you haven't yet, please like this video and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my videos. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get started with this video. Planning on actually doing like a history of natural hair discrimination, but there's already a ton of videos on that. The best one I've seen so far is the BBC one that came out this year. I think it's really good and it gives a lot of different perspectives. So if you haven't seen that, definitely check that out. I can card it somewhere in this video. And last year I already did a video, or 2 years ago I already did a video on the Crown Act. So if you haven't seen that, check that out definitely. It was hard to come up with trying to figure out what I'm going to talk about in this video because I feel like everything that has been said has already been said about natural hair discrimination and like what we need to do and people's experience with it. So I kind of want to just focus on like a different perspective, if you will. Maybe not different perspective, but just come at the natural hair discrimination conversation from a different lens or a different angle, just so that I'm not saying the same thing that everybody else is saying, which is kind of redundant and boring. So what I decided to do, use this time in my platform to talk a little bit about my experiences and the experiences of my friends with natural hair discrimination, because what I thought it was going to be based off of what people have said and talked about and what I see on the news and the media and what I actually experienced are kind of two different things. So to start off, I live in the DMV area, so I think my experience is a little bit different than a lot of other people given the large Black population in this area and the large like middle class, upper middle class population in this area. I graduated in 2020 and it took me a year to get like an actual job, like a real job, a corporate job, there we go. And I remember just being so stressed out because I was afraid that my employers were going, I was like really afraid of like how I showed up to the interview, because I was afraid like I was gonna be discriminated against because of how people talk about natural hair discrimination like it's something that you can't avoid. The way that it's talked about in social media, real media, traditional media, there we go. Everywhere we go, no matter what you're doing, no matter what industry you are, no matter where you live, you can be potentially discriminated against because of your hair, and which is true, but I think there's a lot more nuance to it than what we talk about. We just say it's like this all-encompassing thing, whereas like we could probably do a little better in researching like what areas are worse than others, what industries are worse than others when it comes to natural hair discrimination. Is it like, should associates and lower level people worry about natural hair discrimination, or is it executives? Like, I feel like there's so much more to the conversation and so much more research that could be done to understand natural hair discrimination, so we can better pinpoint where the problem is instead of just talking about it in like an all-encompassing way. And that doesn't mean that like I don't think the efforts to pass the Crown Act is important. I think it's very important to have legal protection in all cases, regardless if it's a serious issue or not. Having the legal protection is important to me. I think it's just the way in which we talk about natural hair discrimination for people who like aren't in the workforce, it scares us. I mean, yeah, I think the way that my like family and my mom talked about it is like, oh, you better do this with your hair, or you know, you don't know if they're going to accept that, and you like, there's just so much so much that I have to think about and worry about, because people are telling me, well, you don't know if they're going to discriminate you, you don't know if they're going to do this, you don't know. And it's like, if we had the information that can specify where natural hair discrimination or just race-based Black hair style discrimination happens more frequently, I feel like we will be better off, so we don't have to just like scare young folks. So we just don't have to scare young folks about like the potential threat of natural hair discrimination and try to stop them from like expressing themselves the way that they want to, and just focus our efforts on the places where there's a problem, if that makes sense. What I'm trying to get at is, based off of my personal experience within the workforce for a little bit, nobody cares about my hair. I mean, I don't like, nobody talks about my hair. Nobody says anything. Nobody even acknowledges it. It's just another part of my head. And I feel like I was stressing out for no reason, because I thought that natural hair discrimination was going to be a much bigger part of my work experience and like my work life and corporate life, but it's really not a part of it at all. I feel like what I struggle with more is like showing up authentically with my hair, more in general, but since we're talking about hair, showing up authentically and wearing styles that I want to, or which is best for me to work, than dealing with comments from other people, if that makes sense. Like, I have to like untrain my mind and my brain to be afraid of what, my white counterparts may say or may think about my hair, and just be like, who cares? Just focus on like doing hairstyles that promote growth, that doesn't break off your hair, and you're not like out here struggling. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk mostly about on this video, is just like, not to say that natural hair discrimination isn't real and isn't an issue that is still prevalent and that we still have to fight against. I think what I want to shed light on and hopefully encourage people to focus more on is like, find the specific areas in where natural hair discrimination is more prevalent, so that we can focus our efforts on that, than just saying this is just a blanket over encompassing thing. And it's not. Like, I think it would be really fruitful to understand like why I don't experience so much natural hair discrimination, but someone else might, because understanding that difference will give us a lot more information on what to focus on and what to, as a collective, what to focus on, than just saying natural hair is an issue, but we don't know the specifics to be able to actually address the problem efficiently and adequately, if you understand what I'm trying to say. I think the biggest thing that I just want people who are watching this video to get, or like receive from what I'm saying, is just like, natural hair discrimination is real. Race-based hair discrimination is real. However, can we focus less on like scaring people out of wearing the hairstyles they want to wear, and focus more on arming people to handle a situation where they are discriminated against? Then like, I think it would be a lot more fruitful to be like, oh, if you feel like you're discriminated against in an interview or at your job based off of your hair, here's what you should do, and this is how we make sure that person is handled in a professional manner, as opposed to just being like, you shouldn't wear that hairstyle because you don't know if you're going to be discriminated against, and that did it. Like, I feel like the latter makes life so much more stressful, because you're sitting here thinking about a perceived threat that may or may not be there. Because there are some areas where Black people are thriving and not having to change their hair, and I think it's because, like, where I live in the DMV, I feel like Black women can wear their hair naturally with little hair discrimination, because there's so many Black people here that the white people are used to the Black people. But I feel like in areas where there aren't a lot of Black people, Black hairstyles, Black culture isn't as normalized, so you would probably experience a lot more discrimination. I also kind of feel like I'm an associate. I'm not an executive level person. I'm not a director. That might have something to do with like people not caring about how my hair looks versus like, somebody more senior. So there's a lot I just feel like there's a lot more to the conversation that we can have other than Black people get discriminated against by our hair. That could be very fruitful and very just, you know, make things better. But yeah, that's basically my video, my mini rant. It wasn't really a rant, it wasn't that bad, but tell me what you guys think. Like, do you think natural hair discrimination is very live and well and we haven't made any progress since maybe the early 2000s or the 1990s? Or do you feel like me, where you don't notice that much discrimination and you feel like maybe other people within our communities and within the Black community needs our help, like the younger folks or like men? But tell me what you think. Also, I'm wondering, is there like something you wish you knew before entering the workforce about like how people will perceive your natural hair? Like, were you like me, freaking out at first, but then as you started working you realized that like your coworkers don't really care about your hair and just live your life? Yeah, I'm wondering if like other people can comment below like something they've learned about natural hair discrimination at their time working, so we can help the young folks who are just trying to get in. But yeah, that is all for this video. I'm going to change into more professional clothing, but that's really all I had, and I hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys next video. Bye.